for this evening. Tonight we'll hear from four ASPE members, and delve into the story behind some of their favourite images. And you should all know the drill by now. Please check to see if your devices are set to mute, avoid background noise during the presentation, and also if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat function, and tonight's moderator, Adrian Weir, will pose your questions as we go. So talking tonight, we'll have our ASPE members, Adrian, Cheyne, Alex Thexton, Mark Smith, and joining us later on, hopefully, will be Gary Alway. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. I'll hand it over to Adrian and Andy. Thanks, guys.
Hey all, welcome for another lockdown presentation night. So yeah, we'll start off tonight with Andy Cheyne. How are you, Andy?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, enjoying the lockdowns. It's been great for street photography.
Could have been some interesting shots in the city today, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm not that brave to be.
No, neither am I. Neither am I. Even I must be. I was just watching a funny video before where it's not funny that a mob was running at a police car and ripped the mirror off it, but one of them had these big Hulk hands on him. It would have been a great shot.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to Andy. You want to share us a bit about your journey into street photography and up till now, basically?
Yeah, I've always been quite interested in photography. I did art in college many years ago, and the photography module was the one I think I enjoyed the most, but I never took it anywhere. And then coming to Australia, I've started to shoot a bit more. Came 10 years ago, and then basically started. I moved to Sydney for a bit, and then came back to Melbourne, and then started going some photo walks with Melbourne, and meeting some more people and starting to get involved in the photography community. But what happened was what I tended to do was I'd end up going and shooting for a couple of hours before the actual meet. And then I would get a group of people who wanted to meet before the meet. And then there was like a little unofficial street photo walks going on before the Melbourne walk. So that's how I kind of get into it. And then just more and more in the last couple of years, I live quite near the city, so it's kind of easy for me just to go out and grab some snaps or take a walk and get something on a walk to the city, you know.
Awesome. So how about, do you want to share some images with us and give us your stories behind?
Yeah, sure. Let's see if this comes up properly. And it's not showing yet. Should have tried this, didn't I? I was like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
You set yourself up.
Yeah, I set myself up to fail. I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Not yet, no. So the present now, which is the fifth button from the right, the square with the arrow in it.
Yeah. A window. Here we go. Beautiful. I'm hoping you can see that now.
There we go. Yep, that's something's coming through.
Coming up. Yep, that's good. You're on.
Yep. So yeah. So this one was again. I shoot in a few different styles. I try and mix it up. I've got a few different prime lens, and I've got a zoom lens. So I try to mix it up, but sometimes I go out and I look for specific things that I see that I think something interesting might happen. This is one of them where I like the look of it, and I'd accidentally bought a stronger pro mist filter than I'd kind of intended to. So that's how you can have that extremely overblown lights. But this one I was just waiting for someone to walk through, and I was trying to get them in the middle, but the trams kept passing, so you can see one just on the left-hand side, and I think there's one just coming in, so I missed them in the middle, but got them at the side, and I think the weight of the light kind of works better that way, which is kind of lucky. But yeah, that's really all there is on that one. I think the general thing is with me and my photography is I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just taking a lot of shots and then seeing what's interesting once I get it on my computer.
Yeah, no, awesome.
Oh, we've skipped a few. And then Adrian, you helped me pick this one out. I wasn't. no idea which photos to pick, but I'm not sure these are atypical of my feed. But yeah, this is another one where I'm just shooting from the hip, walking through the city, looking for interesting lights or faces in the reflections. And this one's missed focus, and it was one that I'd kind of skipped past when I was looking through the photos, and then gone back to and went, actually, I kind of find that interesting. The guys seem to be looking past each other a little, and I think the reflections draw you in. So yeah, I mean, again, not one where I've kind of sucked the image out. It's just happened to grab it as I'm walking down the street, you know.
No, awesome. I love the image. I like the depth and layering of that through it.
Yeah. And the next one again is just hanging about. I'm not as patient as someone like Mark Davidson who can camp out in a spot. I'm not as confident that I'm going to get a good image, but if things come past at the right time, then I get lucky sometimes. So yeah, this is one of them where the light on the street's just been nice and the tram's going past, and then just lucky to grab this guy. I think we've all been there on a crowded tram on a sunny day where you're not particularly happy that you're going to work, or you've got a lot of shopping and you're coming home. So I kind of like that he was a bit solemn and a bit alone, but again on a crowded tram. And with the word beauty next to him.
I like the "your beauty" sign. That works really well.
Yeah. So happy guy there. And then I kind of cheated there and put two of these for my last one. I shoot with film and digital, and I try to get a different feel sometimes. And these are both in the same alleyway, which is always an interesting alleyway. And with the first one, shooting with film, and I think an 85mm, that person just at the end, just giving some scale to the air conditioning units. And then again, with a digital, it's a completely different feel. You can get the expression on the guy's face and the detail and the color pop a bit more. So yeah, that's my images.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. So Ananda says he likes the happy guy the most. There's a strong emphasis on elements there.
Yeah. Thank you.
So do we have any other questions for Andy? So Russell asked, what film do you shoot with, and do you do your own processing?
So film processing, no. I send it off to the lab and get the scans back. I generally, at the moment, I'm shooting mostly with Kodak Gold or Portra or Cine Still, depending on what I can get my hands on. I stopped shooting in black and white just because the processing time was that bit longer. I just change it to black and white in post. But this one in particular was, I believe it was Tri-X back when I was shooting some black and white.
Awesome. Okay, well, thanks, Andy. Appreciate your input tonight.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Thank you. So we'll move across to our next presenter, Alan Thexton, who's got a long history of ASPI there. Alan, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
All right, so do you want to give us this short story of your journey from where you started to where we are?
Yeah, well, that started a long time ago, being a bit of an older fella. I really got interested in photography and started off in primary school, and it's been an on and off thing ever since. And I first started shooting on the streets of Melbourne back in the 70s. There was a match happening on a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon in the streets back then, and it was a small part of what I did, but I did that and a few other things. And like a few other people, I took a bit of a break when young children and big mortgages and things like that, and I couldn't afford to buy film for a long time, and didn't do much until back for early 2000s when I came back into photography in the digital world. And once again, I spread myself around, did a lot of things, and it was really the start of SITHOM, the very first SITHOM, where I said, yeah, I'll be part of it. And then I thought, well, I better get some images. So I started to go more and more out onto the street and move away from some other areas. And I suppose it's about 80 or 90% of what I do now. I still go sometimes out into the forest or down the beach or something. So yeah, it was basically the beginning of SITHOM and the follow-up years, and that was my main thing for a long time. So yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
So you don't get out in the streets much anymore?
I do, but because of where I live, I'm down on the Mornington Peninsula now. I live at Tremarna. So it's not, if I'm going to go into town, it's a bit of a trip, so it's got to be well planned and a full day trip. So I do shoot locally, street style photography locally, and that's some of the images I'll show tonight are from the local area.
Well, that's a great segue. How about you start sharing some of those images?
Let's see if I can get this. Here we go. No, that's not what I'm after. Yeah. So yeah, as we said, we should have practiced this before, shouldn't we?
Andy got there, so I got 4 copies in you there, Alan.
I've got it open on the toolbar, but I can't seem to find how to actually select that in the options.
So it should be at the bottom, present now, which is the from
yeah,
my screen.
I'm on the present now. Yeah, just a second, mate. I'll do it this way.
Entire screen, window, and tab.
Yeah.
So whichever one you choose, you've got to click the thing in the middle that comes up, because it doesn't look like a button, but it is a button.
Yeah. That one there. No, it's not working for me. I've got a PDF open and I'm not actually getting it up. That's all. Sorry, everybody.
Are you on a Mac or on a?
On a PC. I've got 3 options. It says your entire screen, a window, or a tab.
So yeah, it should be. Which one is it, Em? Is it a window?
If you have a PDF open on your screen, then choose entire screen.
Okay.
Navigate to the PDF.
Okay. No, that's not happening. That's not happening.
Alan, that's a quick backup. Do you want to email your images to Team Aspie, or email them to me, and I can forward them on? And what we might do is we'll move on to Mark, and then we'll come back.
Yeah. Okay. They're in a huge file. I'll have to pull them out, Adrian. Yeah. All right.
So yeah, just email them through to either Team Aspie or me, and then we'll be able to share and go through it that way. Is that work?
Okay. Okay, I'll do that. It's a little bit of mucking around to do that because they're in a huge file of others, so I'll just have to extract them. Yeah, okay.
No
Sorry
worries,
about that, everybody.
That's it. We'll get there. Sorry, all good. You're up, Mark, already.
It's fine. I probably have the same problem that Alan did, but we'll see how we go.
We'll see how we go. I'm sure you'll be fine. So, how about your journey, Mark? We got a bit of time now, so give us the long story of your journey from up to now.
I was born in a small, humble village. No, it was. My background is mainly in wildlife stuff, my photographic interests. I was an entomologist by trade there, if you want to go right back. So I naturally got into macro photography and all sorts of images through microscopes for a while, which I enjoyed. But it's really only been the last 10 to 15 years that I've been doing primarily wildlife. Had a chance to go to Africa and a few things like that in those good old days when you could travel. And did a lot of seascapes and that type of thing. And then about 5 years ago, my son lives in Canberra. I went up to see him and he started shooting some street stuff. And I go, I've seen it before, never really quite understood it. And he was capturing these images of, it's the classic thing that I think probably attracts most people to street stuff, is that he was collecting these images that were fascinating of really mundane things. And he had this eye of separating out stuff from the crowd. Now, I don't do well in crowds, so I just thought, I've got to try this. I've got to try and see if I can figure out how to pull things out from crowds and in this busy, noisy kind of scenes. And so, so I got sucked in. So I've been doing it about the last 4 or 5 years, as I said. And I've only just started to feel comfortable with some of my shots over the last few. So,
well, let's see some of the shots.
See how we go. So if I share, and you're saying it's entire screen?
I think that's the one. Yep.
Where are your photos located, Mark?
They're in the background, in behind this, opened up in Lightroom.
Yeah, you'll have to share entire screen then, I think.
Your entire screen?
Yep.
Okay. It's warming up.
Yep, there it is. And yep, so now you just have to navigate to the Lightroom, because what we can see at the moment is your browser window.
What can you see now?
Your browser.
Yep.
Now we've got Lightroom. Yep.
Now you got Lightroom?
Yep.
And you can see an image kind of. If I go into slideshow, we can have a look.
Yep.
All right. This is one that some people might have seen that's been doing the rounds a little bit, but when this is in Melbourne, and when I was traveling around trying to get images, I had trouble just wandering. I'd come back with nothing, and I just couldn't concentrate on anything. So I decided to visit just certain spots that I had seen the light that I like, or something like this. And this is one place I visit, which is it's the sculpture called Forward Surge. It's between Hamer Hall and the Art Centre. And I just noticed one day there were families milling around and there were kids playing all over the sculpture, and it had this black background and all these curves in it. And a lot of families would mill around playing, kids would try and skateboard on it and all sorts of things. So I thought this might be a good spot. I wasn't brave enough to get too close. I was a fair way away with a long lens, but I love this image because it's the heat of the day. It's all three of these people are in their own little space, but at different angles. And particularly the young girl sitting up on the sculpture and looking away, she's definitely off in her own little world. So this is one of the images I like.
No, it's great.
So I realized I thought I'd try and put a bit of a theme with a couple of photos. This is another installation photo. So this is Canberra this time. And this is, some of you guys probably know this. This is James Turrell's With and Without Sky Space. It's right beside the National Museum, not museum, the Art Centre. And you go inside and it's just this magic place full of beautiful light, and the light changes all the time. And it's a good place for me because also people go in there and they get so wowed out by the installation that they forget you're there. So here's a guy looking down into the pond, which is like a what do they call those hanging ponds? What are they called? Infinity pool. And he's looking at his reflection, and I just caught him doing it. It works best in black and white, I think. There's a beautiful blue color, but it distracts a bit from what's really going on.
No, I know this location exactly. It's amazing in there.
Yeah, and it just changes all the time. It's a fascinating place.
Mm.
Everyone knows this wall. I've noticed. I've been coming into some of the ASPE things, and I've seen people with the what do you call it? The RMIT wall or something. And I thought I'd just try and get a different approach to the shot, and really push the wide angle on it. But that wall is fascinating. There's so many things you can do with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is the last one. It's just, you're standing at a crossing, and someone walks past you with those pants on, and you go, "I got to take this photo."
Absolutely. How could you not?
It was just, it's again, just one of those fun photos that, but it's classic. I tend to take a lot of photos with stripes in them, I've decided.
Awesome. Do we have any questions for Mark? So you've only been shooting a few years, you were saying, or a couple of years?
About 4 or 5. I realised that I've probably been shooting longer than that, but not doing it in a way. I used to travel overseas a bit, and I'd come back with all these travel photos that were of architecture and stuff, but none of the city stuff, I realised I didn't have an eye for it. I wasn't really thinking about it, and I realised I missed those opportunities. So, yeah, about the last 4 or 5 years, seriously kind of thinking about it. Yeah.
So a couple of questions here. Yuan is asking, do you mainly do black and white for street photos?
I was having a look through, and Adrian, I think you pointed out one of my colour ones that was on Instagram that I quite like. But no, I probably have 75% black and white.
Yep. And Mike Reed's asking, long lens always?
Good question, Mike. I've been shooting a little bit more with 50mm, but yeah, look, a lot of my stuff ends up being 70 to 100. I don't get much closer than that, and I've got I've got your classic kind of Canon 7D or a 6D, and it's just I'm shooting now more with my phone, and I'm finding I'm getting better stuff up close with my phone. So a lot of the shots I showed you there were quite long lenses.
No, Sally Coggle has a comment just saying, lovely work, Mark. You've got a very strong sense of design in your work. So that's good. And we've got a couple of people asking around, where can they see more of your images?
Instagram is probably the best, although I find that I find that's the best place, and it's Marky Mark, but I think that the problem is you have to sit through all my orchid shots, and so I don't at the moment tend to have solid street. But yeah, but more than welcome on Marky Mark on Instagram.
Now I've just added your Instagram handle into the chat so everybody can see.
Thanks, mate. Well done. Thank you.
No worries at all. Excellent. So thanks for that, Mark. Appreciate your time this evening.
Thanks, Adrian.
How you going, Alan? I think he's still concentrating there. He's on mute. Andy, are you there quickly? I just got a question for you, mate. I didn't actually ask you to share your Instagram handle or where people could see more of your work.
Yeah, you can get me on photo_ASC, and you can also find me sharing other people's work at Melbourne Photo with an F.
So I've just put that up onto the chat as well for people if they want to be able to see more of Andy's work there on Instagram.
Thanks for that.
All right, excellent. Cheers, mate. I think Alan's still concentrating. So
I am sorry because they were all pretty big files, so I've just had to try and extract them, and they're loading up now. They're attaching now, so there's a little bit of a delay. I apologise for. I've just grabbed 4 at random, so we'll see what happens. They're still loading up. 2 of them are ready to attach, ready to go.
Don't worry, we'll go into Gary Alway, and then we'll come back to you at the end.
Thanks,
once we're done.
Thanks.
Hey, Gary, how are you? Are you here now?
I am here now, yeah. Sorry about that. I had to download the app, and it just kept loading, and I'm like, okay, come on. But yeah, no. Good.
Well, so happy to have you here, mate. It's great to catch up with you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. It has, yeah.
How about you start with sharing us your photographic journey up to this point?
Up to this point, well, since probably about 18, I've always had a camera in my hand. During school, I started more so with drawing and painting, and eventually got to about year 12 when my art teacher said, look, try this, give this a go. And since then, I've always had a camera in my hand or near me. I left school and I ended up working in a camera shop, so that was fantastic. So I actually got to meet photographers, got to learn the process of, I had already done black and white photography at school, but now I was doing color processing and also slides at the time as well. And that was where, I met a friend, Philip, who was a wedding photographer. And for quite some time there, he would actually need a hand, so he started to teach me up. So I'd be useful for him instead of just carrying his gear, which was really, really good. And it got to a point where his photography got that busy. He sort of said, okay, I now need to teach you how to take photos like myself. So if I'm double booked, you can go off and fill in for me, and so he could work between a couple of weddings. So from that, I started my own wedding photography business alongside Philip. From there, that led me into doing weddings, portraits. That was early 20s. Model portfolios after that. That was always interesting. That was really good because you actually have a lot more control. And your creativity just, you do whatever you want. That was really, really good. And so that's 20s, 30s. And then I started getting to work in real estate. That was to work as a salesperson or a sales rep. And when I first started working there, we're probably going back now about 15 years, and they were all just using very, when iPhones came out initially. And I just...
For a second, sorry all. Can someone take over? I've got to go. Someone's actually just smashed into our car in the driveway. So
Well, that would be me, Adrian. So get out there and get it sorted.
No worries at all. Cheers.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Russell. Yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Sorry to interrupt that. So you were talking about the real estate.
Yeah. So anyway, I definitely found out that, sales is not my strong suit at all. But when I saw them taking their photos of the houses, with their iPhone, because it was just like, oh, this is so great. And I've just gone, no, you can't do that. And so I've gone, look, I'll go out and buy a digital camera, buy all, because I had film cameras and everything, but not a digital camera. And I've gone, look, I'll go out, I'll shoot them, and I'll make them, look much, much better than what the iPhone could do. So from that, I did a lot of the sales photography, and I absolutely loved it. They gave me free rein. And I did that at one agency for about 5 or 6 years. And one of the sales guys, he actually moved over to another agency, and he eventually poached me and said, look, we've got a small office here. You can do property management, because sales wasn't for me. I was doing property management. He said, look, come over here. You can do whatever you want. As long as you do the work that's required, photography side, you can do whatever you want. So eventually I started doing real estate photography and loved it. And it was just getting to the point where I could do my work that was required, get that done in a few hours, and then start going off and doing shoots for other agencies. Loved it. And then, yep.
No, I was just going to say, how does that translate into your street stuff, all the past stuff that you've done?
Oh, well, look, this is just it. Then, unfortunately, I was in a car accident, and so I couldn't do it anymore. I wasn't able to with my epilepsy as well. So that's where I met a few people online, and then, met yourself. And I was given a challenge by another photographer, Joe, And he said, you've done all this other type of stuff. Have you ever done street photography before? I said, no, I've come in the city and taken photos. He said, no, nothing like that. He's like, you're going to go take photos of people with their permission, without their permission. And I've gone, okay, I'll give it a go. But yeah, since from then until now, which is about 5 odd years, I guess, that's
Awesome.
all I've been focusing on.
Yeah, I think I met you. I think I met you about 5 years ago. So you must have been around about the start of your street, your street career. But you got some images there for us. Then you can show us.
Russell, I'm going to share the images.
Yep, sure, Emma.
So Gary,
okay.
I'll start presenting, and you can just take over and talk to the image that's on screen at the moment, if you like.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, give me a second.
No, it's all right. But yeah, I was just
For this.
told by this guy, friend Joe, and he's just just go out. I think my biggest fear was approaching strangers, and that was my biggest thing that I had to do. But
Awesome.
it was great.
Can you see that? Can you see that image on the screen, Gary?
Yeah, this one here. It was a protest that was happening over in Bed Square. And I'd seen another photographer, Lee Jeffries, who does a lot of great black and white portraits. And initially I saw this guy and I just sort of thought, God, he looks like Santa Claus, but just having a really, really bad hair day. But where he was sitting, and I've gone, well, look, I could go over there and just take a photo of him wherever he's sitting. But the background was just too distracting. And I've gone, well, okay, I've got to go approach him. And so I just sort of walked up to him. I just sort of sat down and just started having a chat with him and just going, I love your beard. It looks fantastic. Would you mind? And after a little bit of a quick chat, he said, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. What do you want me to do? And I said, oh, well, actually, can you move about 6 feet that way? And he said, oh, okay, yeah. And he's like, what do you want me to do? And I said, nothing. And he just started laughing. And I've just sort of grabbed that photo and just sort of said, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you ever want a copy of it, feel free. And I gave him a card it was an old business card. And I said, look, this is my number. This is my email. And it's been one of my favorite portraits that I've ever done.
I love it. It's brilliant.
I just love his beard, his expression. But yeah, his hair was just going everywhere. So, and that was where, with this other lead, this was another walk. I feel sorry for the people that were obviously having that conversation, but that was the cafe that's at Fed Square, but you walk along Swanston Street just after the bridge where you sort of look up a bit. I'm not sure what it's called, but yeah, I just sort of saw that and I just thought, okay, that's perfect. There was emotion, there was feeling in the moment, and thought, yeah, that's what I was going to focus on at the time. I noticed that very, very early on, I wasn't sure. I didn't have a particular style. I just did a lot of research, looked at a lot of ebooks, other street photographers, well-known street photographers, and just sort of dissected all their work and just went for it. It took me probably about 3 years to start finding my own style and what I really love to do. But yeah, street portraits and looking for emotion, looking for hand gestures. And that's what I would do. I would read an article by another photographer during the week and then go, okay, I'm going to go into the city and just focus on hand gestures. And that's all I'm going to do for a week and just see what you come back with. It could be something else. It could be, I'll only focus on people wearing hats. And because I noticed that getting a portrait of someone is good, but if they're just standing there with their hands by their side, it didn't convey as much meaning as someone, expressively talking with their hands. It's a lot more relatable. Hopefully not in anger, which I've got a few times, but yeah, most of the time they've all been just really happy or talking. It just conveys a lot more of a message to me, I feel.
Awesome.
But and well, this was, it's Little Burke Street on the corner of Elizabeth, I think it is, between the GPO and, is it the Emporium, that other shopping centre? But I just saw that bicycle, motorbike, and that's where I sort of started finding a bit more of a style of looking for a background or looking for something and going, okay, well, all I need is just the right person to walk along. Now, so what I did is I just sort of used zone focusing, just focused about 1.5 meters or 1 meter in front of the bike. I think I used about f7 or f8, so I knew that someone within about a 0.5 meter range around the bike would be in acceptable focus, and just sort of stood there waiting. And eventually someone came along, and it just happened to be this guy. I don't know if he owns the bike. And I just started clicking away with my camera, and eventually he just sort of looked up, and I've just gone click, and I've gone, I think I just got what I wanted. I walked over there, I took some more from some different angles. He didn't actually say anything to me. After I took these other photos, I just sort of walked past and say, thanks a lot, have a great day, have a fantastic afternoon. And he just sort of looked at me a bit strangely. So I don't know if it was his bike, maybe he just sort of thought, who is this guy hanging around my bike? But I just thought he just suited the mood perfectly.
I think he suits the bike perfectly too. But
But I just sort of, as long as I sort of stayed within about 0.5 meter of where I was, and as long as someone was around, sort of a bit, probably about 0.5 meter in front of that front wheel, it should be in acceptable focus, and it worked out okay. So that was where I sort of learned about zone focusing and using the depth of field.
Well, our super sleuth for tonight, Emma, she says there's no helmet on the bike, so it's not his bike. So she's putting 2 and 2 together.
Quite possibly.
Awesome.
Quite possibly. But yeah, this was probably taken back about 2 years ago now, unfortunately, because I have found that for my style of work, I guess, I've been looking for really high contrasty scenes, and for that I found out that Melbourne during autumn and winter is the best time for me, but it needs to be bright blue sky, and that is a laneway between, I think, I was thinking about it today, I think it's between Burke Street and Little Burke Street. I think, but it's actually light that is reflected off the buildings on Burke Street and shoots up this laneway. And that was when I was starting to realise, that, because I stood there for about half an hour and you could just sort of see the shadows moving, and I've just sort of started to get an idea and going, well, okay, I really like this movie. And that was actually after about 2 weekends of visiting this one spot that someone just came up, because everyone else was staying in the shade, and I've gone, I just need someone to stand in that little pocket of light, and all of a sudden he just sort of blew out that smoke and then did a smoke ring, and I've just sort of gone, yep, thank you. And he kept walking, just sort of turned around and said, yep, okay. And yeah, I just was absolutely wrapped with it.
Time to perfection there, Gary.
Yeah. Oh, look, and that's where I just sort of noticed that a lot of my shots now, it's more, I've got notes down on my camera, on my phone, about places, times, date of the year. Because autumn and winter, yeah, the sun just being that little bit lower in the sky, you can get direct light, you can get reflected lights off the buildings, off the windows of the buildings. And for me, it just brings so much more mood into the shot.
So are you using an app for that when you say using your phone? Do you use photo pills or azimuth or anything like that, or calendar?
No. I'm just using a notepad on my phone just to write down, okay, where I was, what time of day it was, what month or what season it is, just so I can go back there the next year and just see how the lights changed in that one spot. This one underneath Queen Street Bridge, and that's where I was looking at times for probably about 2 years, I think, a year and a half to 2 years. I've been going back to various locations, and that one, again, I think that probably would have been 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, I'd have to look on my phone, but yeah, and someone just called out to her. And yeah, that was just incredibly fortunate. I've got probably about 80 or 90 photos of people where they just walked through. But yeah, I was just fortunate enough that sometimes you're given a gift. But
Well, it looks like I was going to say, it looks like the photo god smiled on you quite a lot, but you put a lot of work into it. So there you go.
Oh no, well, but I also don't post that many because I might go in there for a week, I might go in there for a day, take 300 photos and come home with absolutely nothing. And that's actually the very first photo. Yep, that one. I'd never seen that shadow before, and that's underneath the town hall on Swanston Street. And that was the first photo that I'd ever noticed shadows before, and that was where it was either winter or autumn, and it was the right time of day, and I found out that shadow is there for 3 minutes during winter. That's it. And I was going back there after I'd saw it. I think it was from about 1:31 to about 1:36, and then it's gone, and it's only during winter. But so many times, because I'd walked underneath that archway during summer and it's not there. You don't see it. Yeah. But
That's great. Great capture, mate.
Yeah, it's not my best photo, but it was the one that's really spurred me on to go, okay, I'm not going to be posting much. There's not that many photos I've got. Unfortunately, tonight I'm just on my iPad. And that was a morning shot. I think it's near the Novotel, the Novotel Hotel, from memory. But yeah, it was an early morning shot. Again, it's just the morning light. And that's what I just sort of found that, different times of the year will yield different effects. But look, thankfully, I've been very, very fortunate as well. I know you're aware, Russell, but I'd spoken to Adrian earlier. Because of my epilepsy, I've got a friend who normally comes with me or most times when I go in. And I spoke to Adrian about it, and I said, I'd have a bit of a chat to everyone about it tonight if you still want me to go ahead with it.
Yeah, if you feel comfortable with it, I'm sure I'm sure it'll be inspirational for some of our shooters. Go for it, Gary.
Oh, well, look, after that car accident, and probably almost, when we first met in the city, I've got epilepsy, I've had it. But after the car accident, I was having multiple seizures every day, and so I just lost all my confidence. And then when, you know, I've had so many very near close calls, you know, walking across the road because I have absent seizures. And I've walked, unfortunately, onto Burke Street because I saw a really good photo opportunity, but with my absent seizures is what happens is I just lose all awareness. So if I'm walking, I'll keep walking. And so CJ has been fantastic. He's into photography. So I was actually helping him out to teach him a little bit because he's 20 years younger than me. But yeah, you know, it's countless times that he's caught me and stopped me from walking out onto roads. So I hope that I've helped him a bit as well, you know, teaching him about photography. The amount of times that he's, you know, just sort of stood by me when I've had seizures, picked up my camera, or just sort of made sure that I've been safe. Because I have been in the city by myself a couple of times at night, which I won't do again. Some unfortunate diners in the middle of DeGrave Street, I'd sort of walked off Flinders Lane, turned into DeGrave Street, had a seizure. And what happens with them is if I'm walking, I have a seizure, I keep walking unless it's too strong. And I accidentally walked into the poor people having dinner. And I woke up out of it and I was just sort of looking up and I just saw all these faces around me, not knowing anything. They called an ambulance for me, which was very, very kind of them. And talking to the ambulance officers, they actually said, yeah, it's really, really lucky. And I've gone, well, yeah, I was very fortunate with these people. And they said, no, nothing was stolen. I said, yeah, I know that's. He said, no, it's happened to people that have actually been blacked out at Flinders Street Station. They've had their clothes stolen. So I've gone, okay, yep, fair enough. And that's also where I've decided I'll stick to daytime.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. I've if anyone's got any questions for Gary, just type them in. I'll just I'll read through a few things that people have written about your images, Gary. Everyone loves a great shot of the hairy man. Have you got a name for that photo, or is it just the hairy man?
Bad hair day.
Bad hair day, yeah, I love it. Yeah, and the second shot too. Emma's just saying beautiful lines in that shot. Those two diners in the window. I love that you spoke about the hand gestures in that shot because that's really a feature of that. Yeah, that was fantastic. That was from Emma. Yeah, Daniel's talking about awesome photo. Susan, fabulous tones and wonderful composition. I think she's talking about the next, or is the next? I'm not quite sure, but it wasn't. No, I don't think it was that shot. I think it was the next one after, if I can remember rightly.
Next one. Yeah,
that one. I like that too. Yeah, people are saying it's very cool. Thanks for sharing.
Welcome.
Yeah, and Mel. Sorry, that's not Mel. That's Mr. Chow. He says, beautiful work and thanks and inspiring that you are getting out and about enjoying your photography. And yeah, I'd like to say that too. You're lucky to have someone like CJ too to help you out. He's a great guy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a wonderful work.
Incredibly fortunate. He's been a good few times that he's caught my camera. So yeah.
So Frank's just said great stuff. Gary, don't stop and keep on going. So yeah, and Sally's saying beautiful work and inspiring that you're getting out, enjoying your photography. That was Sally. I will say, like I've seen your work over quite a few years now, and I thought you did some absolutely fantastic portraits at the start. Now you've told us
that's what
I was just thinking that now you told us a bit about your past where you were actually doing the portraiture, and that I can really see where why you were taking such good, strong street portraits. But you have evolved over the time. I still love your street portraits the best, to be honest. But that's good. I find them extremely hard to do, and you do them absolutely fantastically. So congrats.
Well, yeah, no. It was basically I was looking over my photos to send off tonight, and I probably focused on it for a solid year. But it was that first initial approach of someone. It was basically going up to them, shaking, and just trying to get my words right. Trying to do it now. My words right, and and it's like everything. Just slowly getting better. But I did notice that hand gestures make a big difference in an image, or using the hands somehow on their face or something.
Well, that's awesome work. Well, thank you very much for sharing.
More than welcome.
Okay. Well, I think we should go back and have a go at Alan. Is everything right for that, Emma? You sorted out the sharing side of things?
Yeah, I've got Alan's images, so I just need to share them. Alan, you good to go? Yep. Let me find them. Too many tabs. See that?
Firing up now.
Okay, as I was saying, that we lived down on the peninsula. We sold our house in suburban Melbourne back in 2015, and end of 2015 we sort of moved out of town to sort of step back from some of the stresses. And I'd been ill earlier in the year and spent some time in hospital, and I was looking to step back. And we moved down here and sort of went into part-time work and for a couple of years, and I've just retired recently. And this is one, I just took it last week, actually on my COVID exercise walk. Down here, it was oftentimes there's no one in sight. I can go out and walk along the beach and I might see one person. And it makes it a little bit difficult to be inconspicuous. You can't hide amongst the crowd or behind a sign or something like this. So this particular day, these two women were practicing their exercise on the beach, and there's a chap up there behind them in his wetsuit. I'm not sure what he was doing. I think he's preparing to go for a swim. But sometimes walking along the beach here, all the ones I've selected here quickly through are all around close to the Dramana Pier area. Dramana Pier is my little temple. So it's where I go. There's a couple of minutes drive from home, and it's my de-stressor to walking along the beach or on the pier there. So this was just one I happened to snap the other day. I'd done a few photos around the beach boxes, and my sister-in-law had bought a couple and she wanted an extra one. So I did a whole series on the beach boxes and people, the way they interact with that's what I'm interested in, the way people interact with their surroundings and in the people in place and what it means. And these particular women were really right into the yoga. So yeah, that was the most recent one of the ones I was selected. Some of the other ones were a bit older from when I first came down here.
Hey, Alan, I've got a cheeky little comment here from Emma. She says, there's no crowds anywhere to hide in at the moment, Alan.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I came down, I started shooting down here actually before we moved down, because I got a little bit tired of always going to the same places in town and coming home and having a look at other people who've been shooting in the same spots and same background. So I started coming down this way just for a bit of a change. I didn't realise when I first started doing it that one day I'd lived down here. So I've actually got quite a collection of photos from around this area. You have to shoot in a different way, that's for sure, because down here a lot of people stand and look at the water, and to get in front of them, you either got to be in the water or off the end of the pier or something. And if you do get in front of people, you're right in their eye line. So so the candid photography, it's a different sort of challenge here. I used to go into the city and walk around for 6 hours or whatever, whereas now I'll go down to the local pier and I'll only be there for half an hour. Then, there may not even be anybody around. Then it's in the car and along the bay to the next pier, down to Rosebud or Rye or wherever else. So I've had to change my approach, and yeah, it's been an interesting little journey.
Do you think it's been easier for you because you can get away with pretending to be a tourist?
No. People are very sensitive with people with cameras on the beach, particularly if they've got children around or something like that. They're very quickly aware of what you're doing. I get sprung more often here than anywhere else. People think you're a pervert straight away as soon as you produce a camera. I mean, there might be heaps of people around with their mobile phones that are taking shots and nobody cares. But as soon as you produce a camera down here, yeah, everybody's sort of telling the children, come here, get away from that disgusting man, sort of thing. So it is a different challenge, yeah. Oh, this is one of the early ones I took when I first came down here. I had picked up a little bit of work up in Mulgrave, which is not too far to drive. And, you know, being from Melbourne, I was used to getting up early and traveling great distances for work and getting my coffee early in the morning before I went to work. And I found that down here, there's no coffee shops open in the morning. I eventually found one open at 6 a.m. and I was able to get my coffee. And each morning before I drove up to Mulgrave, I'd go down the pier and I'd walk along the pier or along the beach or something, and I'd be really quite calm before I went off to drive to work. And this particular day, there was a bit of a fog. So I grabbed the camera, and that's luck would have it, this guy happened to come along and make a comment about the weather as he went past. So, yeah, it's good old Dramana Pier.
When you're framing that shot, did you incorporate that leading line into the guy there? Is that why you've positioned yourself there? Or
No, I jumped out of the car, grabbed the camera and snapped, got one shot, and that was it.
Okay.
And I say it's instinctive from all the years of working. I instinctively get those lines sometimes. So that's me bragging, but no, it's pure fluke.
I think I saw that guy dancing on top of the Westgate Bridge.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, as I say, a lot of people just want a bit of time or got a bit something to think about. It's the end of the pier is often the place where people go to think, contemplate, think about the world. And you know, sometimes I sneak up behind them. So I've got a lot of shots of people from the rear on the end of the pier. And this guy, I think he'd actually been busking. You know, it was at Christmas, obviously, and yeah, I think he's a bit short of a quid, and he had had a hard day busking, and he just wandered off down the pier to sort of, I suppose, like everybody else does, to take a rest and take it all in. So I happened to just see him down there. I saw the red hat, and of course that was a flag to me that there could be an opportunity here. So I went down there as well and took the shot down the end of the pier.
Yeah, it was nice of him to wear the red hat and the green to working and the thing is that the water changes colour so much with different lighting conditions, different weather. Some days will be turquoise, some days will be a grey, sometimes will be a blue. This particular day, it's a shade of green to go with the shade of green of that crate. So I was fortunate in that. Yeah, this is one of the really early ones I took down here when I first started coming along. And I sort of thought it was a bit of a decisive moment type thing. This guy was I don't know what he was doing. He was lecturing the women in the water, and it was quite a strange scene. The three of them standing in the water, deep in conversation with this guy. He was giving them some form of wisdom. I didn't, excuse me, I didn't really pick up on the conversation. But yeah, as I say, it's a little bit like Gary was talking about with the hand gestures. You know, I get very interested in the emotions, people's emotions, and what that's the most important thing to me before anything else. And if you get lines or you get light or something to go with it, well, that's fantastic. But I'm interested in I suppose, in humanity and how we interact with each other, and that was the interaction between those people at that time, which I caught. Yeah, so just a lucky moment. I think that was all of them, wasn't it, I sent through? Okay, that's cool. That's a great vantage spot from that. So I'm thinking there's a 2-level pier there at the end, is it? So you get
it is
interesting angles.
It is. That part there has actually been subsequently washed away in a storm. It's been replaced by a different platform that made of plastic. So these were the images I just quickly pulled out of the file to send over. I mean, I've got quite a lot of them. I've actually put them together in a book form, and so I sort of really started photographing down this area about 2013, but more consistently since 2015. And as I say, there's a lot of different challenges. When there's a lot of people around, it's actually harder in some ways, and so because you're so noticeable with a camera. And then trying to get a spot. There's a place down near the pier there where people often sit and look, and I walk along and go, oh well, look at that. But every time you get seen, because as I say, unless you're in the water, you've got to shoot from behind them, and getting these interesting shots, can be a little bit of a juggle. And so when I used to go into town, walk around for 4, 5, 6 hours, and I feel like there's a fair chance of coming home with something. But if I go down here, I might go down in half an hour, and there's just nothing. There's nobody around. So that's it. That's the day, or get in the car and travel somewhere else. So it's a more laid back way of doing my street photography.
So with those last 2 shots, are you doing much in the color saturation side of things there? Or
No.
Yeah, it's a really nice color palette in those 2.
Yeah. Well, actually, when I was putting them together, I was trying to. I was putting together like a book, and I didn't realise how different things could be. And I'd put shots together, and all of them, no, they don't work together because the water in this one's green and the water in this one's blue, and it just really jarred when you see them next to each other. But those last 2 just happened to have the same conditions, obviously, so we've got the same colour in the water.
Awesome. Okay. If anyone's got any questions, you could type them into the chat box. So there's a few things here. We could talk about great images, Alan, particularly the crate guy. That seems to be everyone's favourite here. And also, just a quick question for Alan and Gary, Instagram handles. If you want to type them into the chat function, I don't have them. I think that's something Adrian had. So
okay.
If you want to do that, it'd be great. Mike's saying it's always great to have a story. I think he's talking about must have been is that the red hat guy with the crate? Is it? Yeah. So Mike's a great storyteller with these images. He loves to have a story behind them as well. So he's appreciating that. I'm pretty impressed with you photos down the beach though, Alan. I think that's a really big challenge. I was just wondering about what sort of camera you use there, because you were talking about the phone. You seem to get a bit more leeway with that. Are you using anything like a big size camera or?
Over the years, because I started this way back. I started with a Sony DSLR. Then I've done most of them, all bar one of those with my Fuji X Pro 1, which with either an 18mm or 23mm lens. That's what I've done most of them with. And recently, I've acquired a full frame Canon, and one of the women doing their exercise with that. And I'll tell you what, that's a real magnet for abuse. I down at Flinders Pier one day, and I got abused down there, really up a hill and down dale, because it's so obvious. So yeah, but I just love the picture quality that comes out of it. So when I go out for the day, it depends on how brave I'm feeling, which camera I pick up. So with the Fuji, I can just sling it over my shoulder and walk along the beach and usually get away with it. But if I take the Canon now, I know I'm going to have to be extra crafty.
Oh, that's awesome. Joe just had something here. He just says, thanks to everyone that's presented tonight. He just loves to hear the stories behind the lens. So I think that's been one of the features of the series so far for this for the special lockdown series of interviews, and that's been absolutely fantastic. I've just got a question for Andy, if he's still around.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. You were mentioning you're shooting film and you're shooting digital. Are you taking 2 cameras out? Are you making a decision to pick one, or I know it's a bit of a dilemma there. There's a lot of people that's struggling with this one.
Yeah, sometimes I've got 3 cameras. I don't know. I just take whatever I grab. So normally I'll take I'll go and shoot with. I've got a Sony mirrorless, so I normally shoot with that. But I've also got a Fuji X100V, which is a bit smaller. So if I take that, I normally take a film camera as well. And I've also got a small film point and shoot that I got for $50 from eBay, which I take for little sneaky quick shots.
Awesome. What would that one be?
Oh, it's a recon point and shoot, but it's nothing fancy. I mean,
Okay.
it's just a fixed. I think it's a 28mm fixed lens or something like that. So it says it's an autofocus, but it doesn't do anything. It's just shoots at f11 or something like that.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Yeah, you can't go. All you can do is push the button. So that's good.
That's awesome. That's always a struggle with me. You know, I'll either go with one or take two, and then like maybe shoot the roll, and then go to digital if I do that. Or but you know, spontaneous stuff's probably better with digital, I guess, because you can fire off a lot of a lot of, if you got the two. But
it's sometimes I often go out with friends and shoot, and sometimes if they're shooting film, then I'll shoot film as well. Or if I'm out with someone who's shooting digital, sometimes I'll shoot digital. But then again, it just depends how I feel. I sometimes do the opposite to make our shots, because sometimes you get very similar shots when you're shooting with friends. So yeah, it just depends. Just depends.
Cool. Okay. There's a couple of posts here from Alex regarding Gary regarding the hyperlinks to their website, more of their work. And I've just got one more question, and it's for Mark. I was just noticing in your presentation, you've got some really nice crops on the shots. Are you framing those up in the camera with that crop in mind, or are you doing that in post and working out how you're going to present the image?
Some of the ones when I'm sitting, Russell, at a spot that I'm used to, like those ones, I've taken quite a few at the forward surge. Not much. I don't have to do much to those because I can just frame it the way I like. But I think I'm like everyone else. I think it's a bit of an opportunity. I'm a little bit far away, but I see something, you know, I'll hit it, and I'll probably crop a fair bit in. I actually do a fair bit of processing. I'm always impressed by this group where there's little processing done. It's kind of like I want to do much more in camera, but I seem to need to work on them a bit more. Definitely cropping.
I love some of the crops on those. I just thought it just balanced the image really nicely, and that. And you know, sometimes you can't get there, like I say, or it's what the kit you got. So you could, I guess, you could do that rather than getting like shooting it or getting it right in camera. But it looked like they were purposely shot like that to me. So
I'm glad they look like that.
All right. Well, I think we're just about done. I'll have a look at the chat. Yeah, we've got Gary's always photos. That's his Instagram handle, and Ananda sorted out the hyperlink for alexthephotographs.com. So, yeah, there's some thanks there for typing that in, and I think that's just about it. I'd like to say a big thank you for all you guys presenting tonight. Yeah, all the presenters. Yeah, been fantastic over the series. Like I said, and tonight was no exception. I'd love to have the stories behind the images. I think it's been absolutely fantastic. If you'd like to see more of the work, you've got all the links. And if you've got time to kill, you can check out our ASPE YouTube channel for the past episodes of the speaker series. Or you can just go and visit our website, aspe.com.au, and check that out. Any questions or any ideas or anything you want to say to ASPE, you can contact us on our contact page. Yeah, we're always open to new and more exciting things or anything. We're here for the members, and that's what we like to do. Keep everyone busy and I don't know, as busy as we can be during the lockdown. So I'd like to thank everyone that's participated in the series over the last few weeks. The next in our series will be on the 12th of October. That's in our calendar. That's when we have Marcus Anderson presenting. So they'll be reverting back to our normal monthly session. So we'll be sending you a link to that one, no doubt. Trusty Emma will get onto that and send it as soon as she can. So that's it for another installment of the special lockdown edition of ASPE Speaker Series. And thank you all for joining us tonight. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get out there and get to see you back on the stretch real soon. So anyway, thanks and stay safe. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Russ.
Good night.